Welcome back to College Football Addiction. We're bringing back a favorite here, Sports Talk Jay. Jay, I didn't think we'd talk about this Arkansas game, but because of what happened last year, I just feel like it's something that we should bring up. Let's jump right into it. I appreciate you for joining me. I know they fired their coach. I know they're a mess right now, but are there any ghosts of last year that worry you a little bit with this one?
Well, after what happened to Penn State, absolutely yes.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's talk about that for just a minute. What were the thoughts after seeing it? Okay, so they lose a heartbreaker in overtime to Oregon. They were a play away from winning that, although they, at one time trailed by 14. Then they go out, or then they play UCLA, who is terrible. In this college football season, there have been more crazy things happen from week one with FSU and Bama to, the way Florida destroyed Texas. We'll talk about that in a minute too, I guess. But what were the thoughts on Nico finally putting together a good game and then winning that?
Well, I had to be happy for him. I really did. I cannot just totally root against somebody and just be an a-hole all the time about that. I found myself kind of rooting for him a little bit. And the way he was taking off and running, I was shocked that Penn State didn't put a spy on him. That blew me away. They're paying a defensive coordinator $3 million a year, and you don't put a spy on a guy who is running all over you as a dual threat. He ran for more yards than I think he threw for. And he's 6'6". It's not like, he's Michael Vick who runs a 4.2 40. Crazy. And that just goes to show you when you have a coaching change, you'd better be aware because what can happen is guys can get inspired. They can feel like, oh, there's a change. We've been losing. Maybe this is the guy. And a few things happen in a game, the onside kick. That was great for UCLA. I mean, little things can really get rolling. I'm just glad we're at home. That way, that's less likely to be an issue.
Yeah. Thoughts on, Tennessee, we talked before the Georgia game. I don't think we've talked since then. Tennessee drops a heartbreaker to Georgia, a game that they had every right to win if they, just make a field goal, right? So they drop that. They rebound and beat Mississippi State in a game that I think was closer than a lot of people maybe expected. But they win that in overtime. They find a way to survive, which sometimes that's just what you have to do on the road. And that's understandable. Mississippi State got off to a nice start despite what happened to them last week. Just overall, maybe the Georgia game excluded, biggest thing that's impressed you with Tennessee, and then maybe the biggest concern you have with the team right now.
That's easy. Joey Aguilar, I'm very happy with him. He is Hendon Hooker minus the ability to run that Hendon had. Although he can run, he's not fleet-footed the way Hendon was, but he's easily as accurate. He's just as – the guy was 14 for 14 against Georgia. He scored 21 points in the first quarter. We were back, baby. We were back to Tennessee football. We were going fast. I loved it. And he's been terrific. He's had a few interceptions, and every one of them hit his guy's hands or a guy fell down. So, I mean, he's been terrific. So there's that. The thing I'm most concerned about, which is the other side of the coin, our defense is very injured and has been all year. We've had 4 starters out, 2 of which were our cornerbacks. One All-American first-round draft pick, Jermod McCoy. He's been out with the ACL. He might be back this week. That is the talk. We'll see. And then we lost our other cornerback who was all conference level. So you lose those. Those are critical positions on defense because that allows you to go man on man there, and that frees you up to blitz, and just you can cause all kinds of havoc on the offense. So that's been huge. We've lost 2 defensive linemen. Both of them may be back. Jackson Moy was back last week. The David Hobbs, who's a 5-star who we're really counting on in the middle of that defense, may very well be playing this week. We expect that. So I think the off week helped us a ton to get healthy. But our defense, which was number 6 in the country last year, has not been that good this year. But you lose 4 key starters, that makes it difficult.
Thoughts on this game and dealing with Taylor Green, who's been really good, although Arkansas is kind of a mess in general. Just thoughts on how to limit him, because it feels like everything that they do is going to try and go through him.
He is going to be very difficult. He will have success against us. We always struggle with dual threat quarterbacks, especially a guy who can do both. This guy can throw it, he can run, and he can pass and give him the ball and all that jazz. He's very good. So Taylon Green's going to be a problem for us, especially with our defense. having Jermod McCoy back, if he plays and plays at a reasonable level, will help us a ton. But he's going to be problematic. They have the worst defense in the SEC. Arkansas's defense has been awful. Now they've got their new head coach, and maybe he inspires them, but it is in Neyland, and Neyland will not be lulled to sleep by Arkansas. They almost cost us the playoff last year. We will be ready for them, but their defense has sucked all year, so I expect to score a lot of points. And if it winds up a bit of a shootout, I think we'll outlast them. But that would be a worst case. Well, I don't call it a worst case scenario. That could be us losing, because then we've lost to them. And the Bobby Petrino factor, man, I'm telling you, the Trojan horse that's been there for 2 years waiting to take over.
Waiting on his moment, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like the evil laugh.
I'll get right back to our video, but first, I do want to tell you about Sleeper's brand new promotion. It's for October only, so do not wait on this. If you've been waiting to deposit on the Sleeper app, but you're cheap, or you just don't want to spend money, or whatever your excuse is, you just don't believe us about the match, you don't even need to make a deposit now. Use our code CFA and you get a free $20 entry on the Sleeper app. You heard me right. Free $20 entry on the Sleeper app if you use our code CFA. The link is in the description. If you do deposit, there's still a 100% match up to $100, but you do not want to miss this promo. It's just for October. Go get it done now. Come play the More or Less game with us on the Power 2 live every Wednesday at noon, and go get your free $20 entry. Thanks to Sleeper for their support. Now back to the video. He got it. Yeah, I've seen all the memes like vroom vroom and everything else. He drove that thing right through. No, I do. No, I agree with that. I think it could. To me, it feels like the kind of game that you might look up at halftime and it's 24-17, and it's been a bit of a shootout, and then adjustments are made. Kind of like one of those mid-major games in the first round of the NCAA tournament where a team is like within Duke by 5 points and then ends up losing by 25 just because they don't have the horses to sustain it. I could see that in this. 24-17. Petrino's gotten tricky a couple of times, and then Tennessee goes out and wins the thing 41-20 or something like that. Like outscores them late, much more proficiently in the second half. I do think it's interesting you bring up the Petrino factor and like what he could do specifically that could, you talked about UCLA kind of rallying for a new guy. What I do think helps though, maybe for Tennessee side, is like Sam Pittman was really loved, and I don't know that the same would happen for Arkansas, but I guess anything's possible.
I would not, if this was at Arkansas, I would be concerned. I really would. Had this been at Happy Valley, UCLA's game at Happy Valley, I highly doubt they would have pulled off the same trick, even though UCLA didn't have a lot of fans there. It wasn't like just lopsided the way it'll be at Neyland. All the energy is going to be on Tennessee's side. Arkansas fans are not going to travel very much for this. So there's that. So again, we should absolutely win this game comfortably. Maybe we don't kill them right off the bat. As long as it's just Talon Green's the key. If we can control him and not let him kill us, we should be fine. But this guy's, he's good. He's good. We got to watch out for him.
Offensively, it feels like the kind of game that Tennessee could certainly just have their way with, right? You don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, but it feels like the kind of game that Tennessee could score a ton of points. And they've scored kind of at will all year anyway. Like even in that, the Georgia game, they scored well. In Mississippi State, they scored well. Even though that may have been a little closer than people were expecting going overtime. But, thoughts on the offense just in general. Aguilar's had to have impressed and been everything and more that you've ever wanted. It feels like this would be a game the offense could certainly open things up.
Yeah, the Joey's done great. Our passing offense is terrific. I'm fine there. I have no complaints. I would like to see us run the ball a little bit more. We're normally a 50-50, where we normally run the ball a little bit more than we pass, and we've not been doing that recently. We've been throwing the ball a lot. I don't want to get away from that dual threat of running the ball against teams. I'm not sure why we're struggling with that a little bit. It may just be that Heupel and our offensive coordinator are a little bit in love with Joey's arm and what he can do. So I would like to see us run the ball a little bit more. Granted, we don't have our superstar running back we had last year, but we've got quality running backs. And normally that's never an issue for Tennessee. It doesn't matter who we put out there at running back. We have success. So I would like to see us be more balanced. we were not balanced against Mississippi State, and I didn't like that very much.
Let's take just a quick moment and look at some of the other games in the SEC. And I want to get some of your thoughts in general. Do you think Alabama has, I know what's next week, and we'll probably have you back on to talk about it again. You think they've fully figured it out? Like, I know they got a tough road trip to Missouri this week. Then they've got Tennessee. I think they play Oklahoma and LSU after that. Like, it is a tough stretch for them upcoming. Do you think that they have turned the corner? And since that week 1 loss in Tallahassee, are they the class of the SEC right now?
They've definitely figured out to some level for sure. I think we are so used to Alabama having this great success with Nick Saban. I don't think you're going to have any more teams in the SEC that are so dominant because of the transfer portal, NIL, and great players not sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years at Alabama like they used to. That's over with. That is gone. So I just don't see the depth at any school being that level ever again. So even a Texas, a Georgia, they've all got a loss or two now. So that means it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the SEC going forward instead of just having Alabama and Georgia just beat the crap out of everybody.
Are you buying A&M?
They have as much talent as any team in the country. They have loaded with 5 stars and 4 stars. They've got a good quarterback. They got a good coach. I think they're going to. I've felt like they were a sleeping giant for years now, and they just haven't gotten through and gotten away from the 8-4. You know, that's the thing. They're distraught at 8-4. A lot of teams would be very happy with that in the SEC. So they're a sleeping giant. At some point, they're going to break through. It's going to happen. They're too talented.
Do you think that we talked about Bama? Do you think that Missouri can give them a game and really challenge them on the road in Columbia there? Alabama this weekend?
Yeah, Missouri's good. Missouri's very good. That Bo Pubala is excellent. I guarantee you Penn State wishes they had him at quarterback. The dual threat guy and great arm. I mean, yeah, I think Missouri can play with them. I wouldn't be shocked if Missouri pulled an upset with them.
How much does Florida and their performance against Texas now worry you for their outlook for the rest of the year? Do you think that was Texas just terrible? Did Florida just put everything together in 1 week, or do you think Florida may have turned a corner?
Florida at the swamp for Tennessee. I mean, I will never be comfortable with that. We have lost to those guys for so long down there that I just want Billy to stay there as long as he can and fulfill look, you signed him to a 7-year contract. You need to honor that contract and not waste money by paying him off. Keep him there. We've beaten them 2 out of the last 3 years. Look, against Florida, we'll take that all day long. Nothing surprises me with Florida, and playing them at the swamp, I'm never comfortable.
What about outside of Tennessee? Do you think that they figure like they got to go on the road to College Station this weekend? They got to play Georgia and Jacksonville. They got to play Ole Miss. They got to play Tennessee and FSU at the end of the year. Do you think there's optimism around Florida after beating Texas the way they did, or was that more about Texas being bad?
No, there's no optimism at Florida. None. This is the worst thing that could have happened to them.
It really is.
They're distraught. They don't know what to do. They're like, we can't get rid of this guy. He keeps winning just enough to hang on. And Strickland does not want to hire Lane Kiffin, who is who they're in love with. They would hire him, the fan base. They want to go get Lane Kiffin. And they can't because Strickland's not going to let them, and Billy won't let them. He keeps winning just enough to keep them around. Florida beat Texas, and they're not happy. I promise you they're not. They're in there going, well, here we go again. You know it's true.
It is like as somebody who, Florida leads the all-time series against us, they've beaten Tennessee so many times in a row, in the swamp. Yeah, we can commiserate together. And it is hilarious to see. It's like the meme of the guy that doesn't know which button to push, like he's sweating. That's their fan base. Cause of course you want to take down Texas and Arch Manning and you want to win a game when there's 90,000 people in the swamp. But then you realize what it actually does when you win that game. If they go on the road, which I don't think they do, I think A&M beats them this year or this weekend. But if they go on the road and beat A&M, it will be the funniest thing of all time to know that he's done it again.
Yeah, It could have. I don't think it will. Although DJ for the first time this year looked like a quarterback,
Yeah.
and he's hurt. I'm telling you, that his lower leg is not right. That's why he's not running. I saw him limping after a certain play. He's not 100%, and his inability to run limits him as a quarterback because he's so athletic and big and strong. But he threw the ball well. He threw a lot of those little sidearm deals. He looked like he had some confidence, which he had zero prior to that game. He goes into College Station. It's going to be tough. I'm not confident them beat Texas A&M. I just don't.
Red River on Saturday, a newer addition, obviously, to the SEC. Obviously, Mateer playing would mean a lot, but does it even matter with how bad Texas looked this week? Like, what are your thoughts on Oklahoma, Texas?
Arch is having a terrible time. He looked like a deer in headlights in that game, and he keeps looking that way. He did in Ohio State. He wants to wait until the receiver is open. He does not want to throw with anticipation. You cannot do that in college football. This is not high school. You don't wait for the guy to create a gap and then throw the ball. You must assume that he's going to be open, and you've got to let that ball go. If you don't, you're going to get sacked. You are going to get sacked because Florida's not going to go one Mississippi, two Miss. No, they're on you. You get rid of the ball. That's the one thing I love about Joey. Joey zips it, but he has got more confidence and more nerve than a bum tooth. He will let that ball go. He's going to throw some interceptions, but I love it. You got to let it, and Arch won't let it go. He's not there yet. And this is really his first year. And everybody thinks, oh, you're a five-star. No, it takes time in college football to play the quarterback position, and he is a babe in the woods right now. I don't care that he's been there 3 years. This is his first full year.
And it's hard to see, I mean, you know this, but it's hard to see them going up against the Brent Venables defense and him figuring it out this weekend, right? Stranger things have happened, but if you couldn't figure it out against a dead program on the side of the road in Florida, it's hard to think that he could go up against Venables and do it then. It feels like their defense is going to have to win them that game, and Mateer is going to need to sit out.
Yeah, Mateer's definitely not going to play. He just had surgery. He's got to be out 4 weeks. That's going
to they seem to be some optimism because he dressed out last week. I don't know, man.
I'm out there. I just had surgery. He's not going to risk his future in the NFL by coming out there after a couple of weeks. That would be crazy. So he's going to be out a few weeks because his manager, if he has any salt and any sense, will never let him do that. It's 3 to 4 weeks. Make sure he gets his 4 weeks, and that'll be just in time to play Tennessee. It'll be perfect for beating or causing trouble for us. But he's got to come to Neyland, which is great. But without Mateer, that defense could get tired. That's the one concern that I would have for Oklahoma. I think if Mateer was there, I'd feel great about them winning that ball game. But not right now, no. Not without. You got to be able to compose an offense and make it work, or your defense is going to give out. I don't care how good you are.
Last one, and then we'll talk back about yours again. Georgia going to Auburn. They feel like they are just on the absolute end of their rope with Freeze. But could Auburn find a way in this game, or is it just a little too late? A bit too little too late. Sheesh, if I could say it, with Hugh Freeze and them.
It's at Auburn, and there is some magic in that stadium. But I have not liked their quarterback position for 3 years now. I didn't think that was a great move going and getting the Oklahoma quarterback, Mr. Five-Star, who once again wants to wait. He wants to wait for the guy to get open. He creates half the sacks they have. And there's just something about anticipating a throw that some guys can do and some can't. And he's not doing it. He's going to get sacked a lot. Hugh is on borrowed time.
Yeah, it doesn't feel super promising there. I know I know what it would take, and they've still got a very tough road ahead. Do you have optimism that Tennessee could make it to Atlanta?
If we'd have beaten Georgia, yes. We got to go to Tallahassee, to Tuscaloosa, and to the Swamp. So that's going to be difficult. I do have optimism we can make the playoff. I feel pretty, especially after Penn State and Texas going down, that eliminated 2 teams that could absolutely creak us. So I feel okay about the playoff. Going to Atlanta, I don't know.
That one next week is going to be a ton of fun. Tennessee can't overlook it. Does the idea of a trap game worry you at all in this Tennessee Arkansas thing, or because they lost to them last year, do you think that's less of an issue?
It should be less of an issue. Usually, we don't have a trap game at Neyland. Trap games are usually on the road for us.
Yeah.
It's when you have 100,000 people losing their minds, it just lifts a team dramatically. So not as much that, but again, I wish it was Sam Pittman. I would feel more comfortable then, because you don't know what Bobby Petrino is going to throw at you.
No.
So,
and it feels like he's probably gunning for that job. If he gets a couple of big wins,
definitely
he wants that job. And so he ain't got nothing to lose, because if they just continue to lose anyway, he's going to be out. If they win a couple of these, you go to Neyland and upset them, and then maybe you steal another win here or there. Maybe they bring him back.
Yeah, they got a terrible schedule, man. If you looked at their last 7 games, they're from hell. It's as bad as Florida's.
Yeah, they could lose every one of them.
Yeah, they're not going to be favored in any of them, I don't think.
No. It's way early in the week, so you have to give a specific score. But I mean, do you feel pretty good about it? You think Tennessee wins this by a couple of scores, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah,
on it?
I like us by at least 10 points would be the minimum, I would think. I think we're favored by like 2 touchdowns. But yeah, I feel good about it. I feel as good about this as I would any SEC game that we could have at home. It's almost like I'm a little bit concerned about Vanderbilt. This Diego guy, they could have beaten Alabama for a second year. I'm telling you, it was looking that way in the first half.
Yeah, it felt like they run out of gas, but they couldn't run the ball as much as they wanted, and Bama did a good job of limiting that. But man, they are dangerous for every team.
Diego is fun.
You guys have enough landmines on the schedule when you think about Oklahoma and you think about Bama still and Florida on the road.
And we're going to 9 games next year.
Yeah, it becomes even tougher.
You don't even want to get me started on that crap.
Jay, where can people follow you?
Is SEC going to 9 games?
Dude, so they're trying to do you think yours is bad? They're going to 9 games. But because they have 17 members, there's no way to schedule that where everybody has the same number of games. So every year one team is going to play 8 games. Wow. Can you imagine when they get down? Now, if it's Cal or something that plays, it ain't going to matter. Right. But you imagine the year that one team doesn't make the ACC championship because they didn't get to play that extra game against BC or Syracuse or whoever.
They need to make sure it's a bottom tier team.
It's got to be.
And plus, the number's going to change dramatically because y'all are probably going Big Ten in a few years, and that'd be the smart move for you guys to go to Big Ten.
Yeah,
we need to talk about that in another show at some point. I need to have you on my show and talk about that.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Sports Talk Jay on YouTube. I'll link it in the description, man. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it, buddy.
No worries. No worries.